Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we are going to do a botanical illustration in watercolor. We're going to do pen and ink, so you're going to want some waterproof pens. And I'm going to be working from this illustration here of some daffodil bulbs. And this is from the book Memories of a Lifetime Floral and Nature, Florals in Nature. This is a copyright-free book, and the neat thing about these books is that they also come with a CD in the back, so you could print off any of these photos if you want. You can use them in collage, you can use them in whatever sort of arts and crafts you want to, but I really love these books for the beautiful illustrations that are in here. So I've done a really light pencil sketch on my paper already, just to kind of get the lay of the land, and then I'm going to start inking. And I've just got a variety of waterproof pens. This is a Pitt pen. I've had a bunch of pens on their last legs, and I've been trying to kind of get them used up, because I do have a new pack of fine liners that I want to get into rotation. So what I'm going to do is start off with my thicker lines. I'm using the it's called S from Faber-Castell. I think it stands for superfine, but these are definitely more thick than my microns. So I'm doing these for the just kind of the more type outliney shapes. I'm hoping my head's not getting in the way. I'm trying to. I did the basic sketch so I could kind of go in and not have to think about it too much, and I could even just use my own artistic flair. Actually, it might be easier for you to see if I just have it on the black mat. Well, I'll leave it there so you can see if you want to. I don't think you're getting too much glare on that page. The only thing I don't like about these pages is kind of like the artist photo reference books. They have glossy pages, which I would prefer a matte stock, because when you're trying to work from them, they can get really, really shiny. Actually, I'm going to set this aside because the glare from the pages, even though they might not be showing up for you, I'm seeing quite a bit. And that way I can also put a little bit more of my own flair on it too. I'm going to start just with these bold lines. And here I've got this one kind of overlapping. Just by getting a basic sketch down there, for me it helps me place everything well. Let's see, this little leaf is on this guy here. So I'm going to basically just outline this entire thing, and I'm going to pause it and come back in a minute when we're doing our more detail lines, because I think it'd be kind of boring just to watch this. Okay, so I got this line work done, and I'm taking photos of the process here. So if you want, if that would be helpful, let me know and I'll post them on my blog. And that way, if you want to like kind of see where the line work is, or even like print it out and then like trace it, you could do that. Just let me know and I could post that on my blog. So now what I'm doing is with a 0.1 micron, which is tinier than the Faber-Castell one, I am doing some shading. I'm just doing some hatching, not cross hatching, but just plain hatching. I think this pen might be about had it. The really fine tip pens, I find, I think it's maybe the watercolor paper might be a little rough. They don't seem to do so well. The Pitt pens, I think because they're maybe a little bit thicker, they tend to do a little bit better on this this paper. And when you go through the work of doing the line work, you will notice that you don't need to do a lot with your watercolor, because most of that is done. I'm sorry if my hand gets in the way. I'm wondering if I can prop this up on something, maybe. Maybe if I put that on here, maybe I can actually prop it right up on my book. That might help, and then my hand I think will be out of the way. Hopefully that works out good. You just never know. It's so different drawing on camera than just how I would sit and draw naturally. Actually, probably a better posture when I'm doing it on camera, because I'm sitting up straight and I've got my feet on the floor, versus if I was just drawing, I'd be Probably sitting on the couch or something with my, you know, legs tucked up under me or something like that. Which will be comfortable for a time, and then until it's not. A little bit of shadow. I feel like I have to have my pen at a really sharp angle, like a really perpendicular angle to my paper when I do this. Because it just doesn't like flow, the ink doesn't flow on the side. I'll just do one flower, and then we'll come back when that's all done. I think my pen might be just about headed too. And then this one in here, I think this one back here would be pretty dark, so I'm just going to go in and darken that up. And I think also along the edge there. This is almost like shading with a pencil actually because of the roughness of the paper. I'm not completely in love with this area here. I think there, that's a little bit better. It has a little more structure. Still seems a little strange, but okay, so I'm going to put some more shadowing down here on this side. Bring that stem down. You could do this just in pen as well. So I'll do the same thing to those flowers, and then on the leaves I might go in with a thicker pen, but I'll just be doing the same thing, just that line. Just that kind of line work. And then down on the bottom of the bulb, I think I'll just probably do some hatching. And the shadow is on the right hand side, so I'll probably just do just a little bit of to give it almost like that engraving look, that liney look. And along the bottom, I might do a little cross hatching here on the bottom, just kind of pull the curved lines back up over to give it a little bit of roundness. It's going to be dark over here. I can actually do a little bit over here too, because this bottom part of the bulb will be brown and that will be white because of that kind of like the husky paper sheath that they have on them. So add your shadows. I will, again, if you want, put a picture of this up on my blog when it's all done. So when we come back, we will have all the inking done and we'll be ready to do watercolor. All right, again, I took a photo of this in case you want to see it. Let me know. I plan on putting it on my blog if you guys are interested. So we're going to use these cute watercolors here. I'm going to use the water brushes that came with it just for fun to try it out. And so it's got this little, isn't it cute? I just couldn't resist it. I'm like, I got to use that. I'm just going to fan out my colors. Hopefully I can keep them all on, I don't know if I'll be able to keep them all on screen or not. I don't think I'm going to use them all, but you do kind of need both of them out because we got the greens on one side and we got the yellows on the other. There's some pretty gold I might want to get in there. Let's see, will that all fit on screen if I scooch over? It's pretty tight. I guess I'll probably just have it half on like that so that you can see my paper. I could turn it this way. Maybe that'll work. I probably should have figured this out before I put the camera on, huh? I think we'll be able to figure it out. I don't like holding it when I'm filming because it kind of gets in the way. So I've got 3 different size water brushes here. I'll probably use the big and small round and not use the flat. And I'm going to start up at the top and work my way down because it's not going to really take a lot of layers or anything because we want our this is going to be kind of in the way. We want, maybe this way. I don't know, guys. This is kind of awkward. I'm just going to start by adding some color. Ooh, look at that yellow, nice and bright. Now I did hit this with a heat tool really quick to just make sure my ink was dry. So I do recommend that. Make sure your ink is dry. Make sure your ink is waterproof as well. Should I zoom in? I feel like I should zoom in. I feel like I'm just showing so much palette and not enough. There we go, let's try that. I should have cleared off my table more so I could, I'm just gonna, oh my word. This is very awkward. I like these paints. They're the same, I think they're the same paints that are in like any of those fan palettes, but I do like there's a bigger mixing area on this one. I'll have a review of this sometime. I also want to get some, let's get a little bit of brown in there. Oh, did I show you my swatch? I made a swatch so it would correspond to the palette so I could easily see, what I have and where it is. I'm picking up a little bit of kind of like an English red here. Using that for some warm shadows. Because it's kind of got a nice brown tone to it. Could take a little bit of the warmer yellow and the English red together. Ooh, you know what? I probably should do this with a smaller brush and use the bigger brush for my details, I think. Why didn't I do that? So to clean a water brush, I recommend just kind of squeezing it out on a paper towel and wiping it off like that. Oh, also guys, if you could let me know how the light looks in today's video. I'm going to get a little bit of a brighter yellow. Because I am trying a different setting, because I was feeling that everything was looking way too yellow on my, in my videos, so just let me know there on that as well. Yeah, let's try that tinier water brush. Why am I holding the cap? I don't need that. Let's even try a little bit of an orangey tone. Maybe mix it with a little bit of that red brown color and a little bit of the yellow. I don't want it too bright, but I feel like the center here should be a little bit more colorful. Just remembered I did a pen and ink daffodil a few years ago. So, and I also did a colored pencil daffodil, so if you have any, I'll try to think to link those other daffodil tutorials up in case you are feeling like it. I was thinking it might be kind of fun to do kind of like a vintage botanical series. Of course, I could probably just link up to other vintage botanicals I've done over the years because I think there's probably been quite a few. Now with water brushes, and I find especially with like finer tip water brushes, they feed out water as you're working. And you might need to blot just to get the extra water off, or you might end up with more than you want. And you can go in, maybe I should go in and do this after it's dry. Depends on the look that you want, how blended you want it to be. There we go. That's all right. Go back to the bigger brush. I think I'll just do that lighter lemony yellow on all over the other two, and then I'll go in and add shadows. You definitely want to use like a transparent watercolor or an ink for this so that you can see your lines. You don't want to cover them up after all that work that you've done. And these paints are nice and transparent, which is good. I like these a lot. I use these a lot for painting postcards because well, not this particular set because I just got it, but the other fan sets that I have, and I just take them because I take them on vacation with me because they're inexpensive. They do the job. They perform the way I want them to perform. So I usually just bring I'll bring like a tin of postcards, watercolor postcards. You can get them by, I've used the Hannah Mule and the Arteza ones, and they're both good. The Arteza ones I think are a little bit better. They're cotton. For that particular postcards anyway. But the Hannah Mule ones are good too. You can even cut your own, just cut 4x6 pieces of paper and then like round the corners. You can make your own really easily. And I usually just refill the tins actually when I've used them up with whatever paper I happen to have. They don't need to be the nicest of paper because you're probably not going to do a ton of layers, but like I'll sit outside. I love to sit out in the sun in the summer, and I'll sit outside and just clean my brush here and just paint. Just like I'll paint, like if I see a pretty flower or leaf or weed or something like that, I just paint what I see, and then I've got these cute little postcards that I can mail off or use for different projects, so it's kind of fun. All right, I'm going to go back in with that other brush. Remember, it's going to feed out a little bit of water. I noticed that with the koi ones too. Maybe they all don't do that, but I've noticed that with the finer tip brushes, for whatever reason, they seem to feed water faster. I feel like I need a rag to blot quite frequently with these. Oh, I want some more of that brighter yellow. I don't know why I just could have squeezed out my brush. I dipped it into my water bucket. Oh, that's so pretty. That yellow is really nice. I haven't done any light fast testing on any of the fan palettes, but for what I use them for, I haven't had any fading issues. I generally use them on greeting cards, sketchbook work, that sort of thing. For the price they cost, I wouldn't expect them to be really archival. They work really well though. They might be fine. They might be archival. I don't know. I mean light fast, you know, as far as not fading. Adding a little bit more color to this one. I feel like it needs it. But like I said, you've got like all the structure done with the with that first layer, so you don't even have to really worry that much about shading or anything. You've got all that in there. You can even do this with rubber stamps if you have like some botanical rubber stamps. That would be really pretty. I'm actually just throwing in the shadows, and I think I'm going to bring some of that warmer yellow in. I typically don't use water brushes unless I am traveling, so excuse if I'm a little sloppy with them. Okay, I'm going to grab some of that warmer yellow. This actually might be a better size. For this is what is this, 4 by 8? I think the size of this paper. This is that it's 100% cotton paper from Australia. It's the Mikador Rains. I think that's what it's called. It's called Rains. I think it's Mikador. So if you're in Australia, I really recommend that. The products that they have, their website is kind of slow to load, but I reviewed a few products from them a year or two ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I'm not sure. But they have these brushes, these synthetic brushes called Royamac Revolution that are really nice. And I like their Rains paper, which is 100% cotton paper. So I know things are really expensive to be imported into Australia. So if you're in Australia, I would definitely recommend those two products. The Rains watercolor paper and the Royamac Revolution brushes. I did try the Mikador for Artist watercolors. They are very much like a dye. Actually, they work really well for this technique. But they're super staining, super dye feeling. I'm going to go over this one for the grasses. I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use a combination of like this color, that color. Might even grab a little of that color too. I know it's hard to tell on pans. So the pans, if you look at this palette, if you see how dark the pans are, that if your pans are darker than the paint comes out on paper, then you know you've got a transparent color. So when you're buying paint, look for those dark pans. They'll generally give you, you know, better quality paint. It's going to be a lot darker and well, I'm sorry, a lot more transparent is what I mean to say. I know what I should have done. I should have just folded in the colors I knew I wasn't going to need, and then I could bring it over. Jeez. It's because I'm not used to this palette. Could bring over the mixing area. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit because you can't see my whole paper. I like painting in this size. I think it's a lot of fun, but it can be difficult to get the right to film it, because the camera is like I should do this as a YouTube short because it's like the right size. Because like with the YouTube shorts, you gotta film them. Like you have to film them with your phone upright, and here I'm using my video camera regular ways. That would be smart. Getting that darker color here where I've put more darker stippling. Or not stippling, I mean hatching. Then, oh, I could grab some of that yellow actually from Daffodils, why not? It's a pretty kind of sap green color there. This is cotton paper, by the way. I think these would be really pretty, like done postcard size. Like, you do like 3 or 4 of them and then get one of those frames like they sell at TJ Maxx, where you can put like 3 4x6 photos in it. One of those, you know, snapshot photo frames. I think that would be really pretty with something like that, with like the, with like a bunch of different botanicals. Don't you think that'd be pretty? I do. And as the blades of leaves, whatever you want to call them, I think they're leaves and not really grass, right? As they come forward, I would make them a little bit lighter. So I'm going to grab some of this other golden, kind of green gold color. I don't know why it's over there with the pastels. It's kind of weird because it's more of a bright. It's not like a milky color. It's quite transparent. And that's just going to give you a little more dimension if you have those areas that are closer, a little bit warmer and brighter. So it has a little bit of 3D feel to it. Now here, I'm going to have it a little bit lighter in the center where there's less shading. The stem in the middle is going to be the lightest, so I've got to make sure I leave enough. I have enough dark back here so that I can keep the stem a little bit lighter, and that will come forward. And a little bit of that darker color. My favorite brush in this kit is the large round. That's the one I would keep in this palette if I wasn't going to carry the little wallet with the room for the other brushes. Because the palette has room for one water brush. That would be my pick. It's also kind of it's this thirstier. It doesn't feed water constantly, and it seems to hold quite a bit of paint. I'm adding a little bit more shading there. You can go over with more layers too, if you want to. And then this one over there, make him a little bit lighter. Grabbing that green gold color and a little bit of the sappy green color. And the painting actually is very easy because we did all the work already. Alright, I'm going to add a little water to my palette. Make it nice and light. Maybe add a little bit of the, more of the green gold, and maybe even a little bit of the yellow. Let me clean my brush off. I'll add a little bit of the lemon yellow into that as well. And that's what we'll do the stem with here, the center stalk. And we can do those little leaves around the flower with that too. Just want to make sure I don't get my sleeve in there. And you can use this technique for any type of flower you like. If you go online, you could search like Victorian botanical illustrations or Victorian bulb illustrations or vintage bulbs, things like that. And a little bit of that sap green color to add a little bit of shading here and there. In my reference files, I have seed catalogs. Those are really handy to have for, like, you need to know how to draw a cosmos or something like that. It's great because you can easily look up what you need. They're usually not the best picture quality as far as like detail, but you can get that basic information that you want. Now down here, this is going to be brown. Let's see, I've used a brown. I have used a brown. We'll go back to that kind of reddish brown that we were using right here. We'll take some of that. I'm going to take a little bit of green in there to dull it down a little bit because it's kind of too red, and green is the opposite of red, so that will knock it back a little bit. And I'm going to paint that in there. And that's just this little part down here. I want to add a little bit more of the reddish color. That's good. Maybe a little of that yellow. So it gives it kind of a yellow ochre color. And I'm going to go with a smaller brush and add the little roots in with some browns as well. Actually, since I have a water bucket on my table, I'll just swish my brush. Grab a bunch of the brownish red color. Mix some green into it. Now, I don't have a problem with my palettes. They dry pretty quick and then I close up the palette. I did have somebody ask me if I'd ever had my palette, the pans kind of go like curl up and kind of start to pop out. I haven't, but I think if you live somewhere where the air is really dry or you live at a high altitude, I think that could definitely happen, because I taught in Denver for a craftsy class, and I shipped my paints ahead of time, and they were the Gansai Tambis, and like they all shrunk and curled up in the pans, so that definitely could happen. So I would definitely suggest maybe fanning it out and spritzing it with water, like keeping it from getting really dried out in that case. But I let these dry out before I fan them shut so they don't stick to each other or get mess up the back of the other ones. Oh, right. I haven't used any blue at all here, and I feel like I need something, maybe with a little bit of blue in it. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll just take a little of that green that's really, really light. Maybe if I add a little bit of that, I was thinking I don't want to add a new color. Well, let me see. Which orange did I use? I think I used one of those two. I think maybe that one. Maybe I will take a little ultramarine blue. And that one is, I think, right here. Yeah, take a little ultramarine. Then I'll take some of the orangey color that I used. Make it really, really watery, and then add it. I basically made a gray. Yeah, you could just use a gray, but I figured, well, if I do need blue somewhere else, then I'll have it. That will be much more useful than having a gray. Because the blue I can mix with whatever. The musical accompaniment today is my daughter Maisie. She's been learning to play the guitar and bass, and so it's always all kinds of pretty music coming from up there. So since I have the ultramarine blue, I kind of want to put it elsewhere, so I'm going to use it for some shadow by mixing it with that darker green, because ultramarine blue is not a very greeny blue, it's more of a purpley blue, so that will give me a kind of desaturated shadow color, so I can go in and I can add some shadow with that, and it's going to help harmonize the picture, which is nice. I think the music is kind of nice too, isn't it? I don't know if you can even hear it. I can hear it pretty well though. Certainly sounds better than a lot of the sounds we get around here in the basement from the furnace or water pump or whatever. And let's see, maybe just a little bit over there. This was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to wipe a little bit of that back. I got a little bit dark. All right, what do you think? All you really need to do now is sign your name. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you can see it in its entirety. I will link that book that I used, the Memories of a Lifetime book. I'll try to find the whole series. I saw a bunch on Amazon today. I think this might still be in print. I'm not 100% sure, but if not, there's always used copies. In fact, I would recommend checking out the used copies, especially if you don't need the CD, because who knows what sort of shape a used CD is going to be in. But as far as the books themselves to like flip through and look at or photocopy for art projects, I would definitely, recommend getting used, because sometimes you can get them for a couple of bucks. And it's nice to have a reference library where you don't have to rely on the internet to find photos. You can just kind of sit down with a stack of books and get going from there, at least if you're like me and you get distracted. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Like I said, I'll have a review on this coming up sometime, and I'll put a link to all the things that I use down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting!